And welcome to Real Side. Joe Messina, Dave Sussman in the chair here. We are live on Facebook and at our website, realside.com. And you are listening to us across 52 stations across the fruited plain on the GCN and Salem Radio Network. There's a chat room on the website where you can hang out on Facebook with your Facebook friends, or you can even call in 855-732-5563. As I teased before the break, with everything that is going on, I love to speak to intelligent, smart, just brilliant people. And one such guy that I've really wanted to have on for quite a while now, we've seen each other at a lot of events around the country, is Larry Greenfield. Larry is a former intelligence officer at the U.S. Navy Reserves. He is a fellow at the Claremont Institute and one of the nicest guys out there. Welcome, Larry. How are you?
Well, thank you, Dave. I reciprocate the kind words. You're one of the nicest guys, too. So nice guys travel together, and I'm honored to be on your show, and I hope for the first of several conversations.
Absolutely. So normally in a evening with 3 hours of radio, I go to a lot of different subjects, but with everything that has just been happening with impeachment and all of this news that is now coming out regarding Adam Schiff knew before he knew, and the lies and everything that's coming out in Ukraine saying that they were pressured by the Biden-Obama administration. What are you making of all of this right now?
I'm making of it a collapse of the Democratic Party. I'm making of it a collapse of statesmanship in our country. And I'm making of it the turning of all matters political into law, lawyers, litigation, hearings, contested elections, lawsuits, the formal movement of politics into the legal arena. The Democratic Party has essentially, by the way, been a party of lawyers, and the ABA, right, the Bar Association, is in the pocket of the Democrats. And I don't wish to speak, by the way, only as a partisan. I'm sad for both parties and for the country as a whole. I admired some Democrats. John F. Kennedy, I thought, would have been a Republican today, but in his time, he was a pro-defense Navy veteran, tax-cutting, future-thinking, young, dynamic president who moved to the middle on civil rights and was a reasonable person. Joe Lieberman, Scoop Jackson. There have been noble. When we use the word liberal, Dave, I'm sure you've talked about this, we mean classic liberal, liberal-minded, meaning individual rights, separation of powers, all the great ideas that formed the American nation, the American idea. Liberal today doesn't mean that. It means now progressive, partisan, left-wing, angry, post-constitutional, post-legal. The ACLU, for example, has moved from balance and assertion of individual rights without regard to party to always now making their policy choices about what they'll argue as an organization based on purely the left-wing agenda. So a lot of the legal world, the Democratic Party, think tanks, university, campuses, professors, lawyers associations, the bar, they've all moved into a very partisan left-wing camp. And they have litigated, legalized politics. Dave, go back to the 80s when Judge Bork was, quote, borked and basically denied a spot on the Supreme Court. It wasn't because he wasn't of merit. He was probably the smartest judge in America, and his writing is very well regarded. He was just flat out conservative, and they didn't like it. So they borked him. By the way, do you know who led that effort? Ted Kennedy and Joe Biden. That's right.
Yeah.
And Biden is on record, by the way, if you want to get into him, so many times what he did in scenario A is what he then objected to in scenario B. It's all projection. It all depends on where your bread is buttered, who is up, and who is down, who's in power and who's trying to fight the power. I could say, by the way, if people want me to be very sober, fair-minded, and objective, when Mitch McConnell, Senator McConnell, blocked the Supreme Court nomination or didn't even allow a vote or a hearing on, remember Obama's last pick? The name escapes me for half a second.
You're talking about for Supreme Court?
Yes, the D.C. Circuit Court judge that Mitch McConnell didn't allow a hearing for.
Yeah, we're talking about, God, it's been such a long day for me as well. And I know people are screaming at us right now because it's...
I know. Well, I'll think of it in a second. Who was not a bad guy and was an admired judge. I thought that also was playing a little rough.
Yeah, Merrick.
Merrick Garland.
Merrick Garland, thank you.
Yeah, and I thought, you know what, the reasoning was, well, we're going to have an election in a year or half a year or whatever it was. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I used that as a point of credibility to say, I'm trying to be objective. What the Democrats did from Bork on was start to litigate every nomination, every election, and now to turn the Trump presidency into a flat-out series of hearings, investigations, castigations. I just find this despicable.
So, Larry, let me ask you, because we've got a couple of minutes before our first commercial here, real quickly. Everything for them is about process crimes. So we saw this with Manafort. We saw this with General Flynn. We saw this with everybody that's in Trump's universe that they've been going after. It's never about actually breaking the law. It's about actually breaking the process of defending themselves. And so is this just, you go back to the lawyerly aspect of the Democrats today, is that all they have? Is that just the only strings that they have to their bow?
Absolutely. Brilliant comment by you, Dave. All they had on Russia ultimately was cover-up or obstruction. Guess what? All they're going to wind up having on Ukraine is a claim of obstruction or cover-up. It is all entrapment. It's all a setup. You know that the FBI and the Department of Justice win most of their cases. Why? They have all the resources. They have all the time in the world. The defendant, whether he's guilty or not, often has only a lawyer and his budget. They're going to wear you down. With Trump, they won't wear him down. Trump has the money, the legal expertise, the entire party behind him, and probably way more than half the country doesn't want him impeached, even if they're moderates or never Trumpers or Democrats. But that's what the Democrats are going to try to do, is get a mistake, an obstruction claim, an overreach, a lie. And that's why Trump was right, by the way, not to sit with Mueller. Because it would have all been about, well, why did you say this when you meant that? It's all Democrat
perjury trap.
Lawyer. That's right. So they're all about entrapping and running out the clock, and this is what their party is now.
Yeah.
They're not passing bills. They're not coming up with economic plans.
Yeah.
They're all going to be about anti-Trump politics.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we've got a commercial coming up here, but after the break, I want you to stick through with us because I really want to talk about something else. And a lot of news, obviously, on the impeachment and Trump and everything else. But there was an election in Israel a couple of weeks ago, and we haven't heard a lot about it since. I want to find out what is going on with Bibi Netanyahu. Does he still have control of the Knesset? Has he formed a majority? I want to get into all of that with you with Larry Greenfield, Dave Sussman here at Real Side Radio. Folks, don't go away. We're going to be right back after the news, weather, news, weather. Be right back, folks.
$3291. Again, that's 800-871-3291.
Well, it's early yet.
And welcome back to Real Side Radio. Sitting in a chair here, Dave Sussman, chatting to you across 52 stations all across the country. You can find me at America's Voice News, 10 to 12 every single day at americasvoicenews.com or americasvoice.news, I should say. And my show is America's Voice Live, and we talk about news and commentary. And you could also find me at Whiskey Politics and here, sitting in the chair, Real Side Radio for Joe Messina as well. And as I mentioned before the break, we've got Larry Greenfield, who's who's talking with us. And Larry is fellow at the Claremont Institute, Naval Reserve intelligence officer. He knows what's going on all across the world. We're just going to step outside a little bit here of U.S. politics because, unfortunately, because of the massive news about impeachment, the entire story about the Israeli election and Benjamin Netanyahu, he's got a lot of troubles happening right now while he's trying to cobble together, Larry, he's trying to cobble together majority control over the Knesset, remain the prime minister, but he's got a pre-trial corruption hearing. And talk to us about what is going on in Israel and what it looks like right now for Benjamin Netanyahu, Bibi.
Absolutely. So before I get into the details of Israeli politics, let's note, Dave, that we are now in the midst of the Jewish High Holy Day season.
Lashana Tova to you.
Thank you. Happy New Year. And so for Jews and non-Jews alike who are watching the Israeli scene, we'll see a little bit less news over the last couple of days, and then again for a couple of days next week as the 10 days that mark the holidays, the New Year holidays for Jews in Israel and around the world, prevent the government from acting and issuing statements, etc. By the way, it's baseball season. Maybe they're also focused on American baseball over there in Israel, where they do follow American sports, by the way.
Go Dodgers.
Go Dodgers. And the Israeli baseball team made the Olympics, which is kind of interesting. I like to joke that it's because of in the big inning. Thank you. Here's a story, Dave. Here's a story for you. A little off topic. Sandy Koufax, Dodger star lefty in the '65 World Series, was scheduled to pitch Game 1 against the Twins.
Yom Kippur.
But it fell on his holiday, Yom Kippur, the Jewish holy day. So he asked his teammate, fellow future Hall of Famer, righty Don Drysdale, beloved pitcher, though fearsome on the mound, to switch spots. So Drysdale took the mound. He got the ball in Game 1. And he gave up 7 earned runs in 2 2/3 innings. He got bombed. And as skipper Walter Alston approached the mound, Drysdale had a little smile on his face, and he handed him the ball. And he said, "Skip, I bet you wish I was Jewish today, too." That's actually a true story. They were good friends.
It is.
They were good friends. Now, just to close the story, Koufax then lost Game 2. But he came back with magnificent performances in Game 5 and then in the all-important Game 7 on 2 days rest, going the distance, and he won the MVP. So God rewarded him for observing his holiday. All right, now off to Israel. So Bibi Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu, who had studied, of course, in America, grew up partially in America, speaks beautiful English. It's almost a parallel to what's going on in the United States. You've got a conservative. He's actually got a conservative majority in Israel. The left has been defeated in Israel now for a couple decades. The left is not credible in Israel. The average Israeli, even though they might be more moderate on social issues or even economic issues, has admired the Likud, the leading party, almost like the Republican Party in the United States. But they have a parliamentary system. So the Likud Party only got 31 votes out of 120 seats in the parliament, in the Knesset. But if you add up all the conservative factions, Prime Minister Netanyahu would be on his way to his 6th victory. He's the all-time longest-serving prime minister now, over 13 years total as prime minister in his multiple re-elections as prime minister. But he's only got about 56 votes out of 120, not enough to form a government. Now, his opponent got 33 seats, more than Bibi. This was the redo of the election of a few months ago, where neither of them could form a coalition of 61 out of 120. So the president of Israel pulled both Bibi and his opponent, a former chief of staff, meaning a leading military figure, Benny Gantz, into conversations. Hey, would you guys like to form a government together? Together, you're over 100 out of 120. But neither of them wants to, because both of them want to be prime minister first in a sharing agreement where you get to go first and I'll go second. Well, I want to go first. You go second. Here's the problem. Bibi is going to be under indictment soon. Because, again, the litigation of politics, they've got him, they think, on taking cigars and taking ice cream, really, I think, most people would consider kind of minor stuff, but he's worn out his welcome among the elites, the lawyers, the Supreme Court, the Attorney General. Do you understand what I'm trying to say, Dave? It's very similar to our system.
Yeah.
The academics, the professors, the media, they're all on the left. And Bibi and the majority of the people are on the center right. You've got a very similar scenario in Israel that you have in the United States.
So Netanyahu's rival, it's the Blue and White Party, the leader Benny Gantz. Supposedly they were supposed to have some kind of meeting. He's trying to cobble together, as you mentioned, everybody wants to be prime minister there. But nobody wants to allow the left to take control. So what does that mean? Put aside the indictments for just a moment, because everybody, in the leftist media are saying, well, he's hanging on for his political life. He wants to be prime minister so he doesn't go to jail. Put that aside for a minute. I don't know if you agree or disagree with that. Let's talk about actual control. Who has this control now? Is it Blue and White?
So the center left under Blue and White really only has about 50-something votes, not 61.
Okay.
And the conservatives, led by Bibi's party, only has about 56, slightly more. Neither party, of course, definitely not Bibi's party, but even the Blue and White, let's call them the center left, they won't accept the Arab 10 or 12 votes.
Right.
There are 10 or 12 Knesset members of parliament who are radical Arabs. They're not even supportive of the idea of the state of Israel. They're like a fifth column, truly. I'm not being rhetorical.
Subversion.
So even the liberals, the Labor Party, traditionally now called the Blue and White Coalition, they won't sit with the Arabs either. So neither Bibi nor the Blue and White Party, neither Likud nor the Blue and White Coalition can come up with 61. What's probably going to happen eventually is either a third election to try to break the tie, and the voters are going to be sick of both of them, or they're going to have to come together in some coalition. And maybe Bibi will finally be worn down and say, okay, I'll be in this coalition with you, but I get immunity. Or I'll be in this coalition with you, but I serve as prime minister first for 2 years or 3 years, and then you can serve next. And by then, maybe...
in our last couple of minutes here, is that what you see happening, some kind of backroom deal?
Oh, definitely. There'll have to be some coalition politics.
Mm-hmm.
Americans don't like our two-party system, but I promise you it's less Byzantine and less horse trading than parliamentary systems. We really wouldn't like that.
Yeah, well, we can see what's happening in England right now with Brexit as well. I mean, it's just a disaster for everybody involved.
It is. Yep, and it's been in Italy where governments have come and gone, and France where governments have fallen. So as much as we don't like our two-party system, it forces us into two big coalitions, and one of them is declared the winner. Remember, President Trump didn't win the majority of the vote.
Right.
Neither have other presidents in the past. But when we settle on a president, at least we don't have months of horse trading and all kinds of different parties coming in with radical proposals from the far right, the far left. We have a more centrist politics, which is better for our stability.
Got about a minute left here, Larry. Does Benjamin Netanyahu survive this?
I think so, because I can't see the left coming up with a winning formula. Bibi was successful in economics. He was successful in foreign policy. He's pro-American. He's articulate. People don't actually like him and his ethics personally, but they think he's done a good job as prime minister.
He certainly has, and obviously, if you're conservative, you like Bibi. He's got a good relationship with Trump, and he's done more for Israel in the past, 13 years?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's incredible. I've been to Israel. I know you've been to Israel many times, and it's one of the greatest countries in the world. It truly is. And so let's hope he survives. I'm a big fan of his, and I hate to see that him being taken down by the same forces that have been trying to take down Donald Trump here. Larry, tell folks where they can find you. I know you're on Facebook, and at Claremont Institute. Give everybody your places to find you if you can.
Wonderful. Some of my articles are at AmericanGreatness.com and JewishJournal.com. Just type in Larry Greenfield, Jewish Journal, and all my articles will come up.
And we'll have to have you on again. You are such a fountain of knowledge. You know what's going on out there. So I greatly appreciate you taking the time, Larry. And hopefully I'll catch up with you very soon. And thank you, sir. We'll be back.
Kind thanks to you, Dave. Yep.
Very welcome. We'll be back right after the break and closing thoughts in our last segment. Don't go away.